It's fine. It's fine. Look, they're not out there.
Does anyone have a mic here?
Straight, run, straight. Now, be quick. Is there any soldiers outside? I hate living in Sydney, dude. We've been in lockdown for 10 months, dude. I just think my insulin.
I don't care if you're gonna be locked down 10
I'm
seconds.
just gonna go out and grab something from the mailbox. Surely that's allowed. Yep, it's life-saving medical. Wait. Just say you have an extension. There's no one out there. There's no one out there. Quick, go. I'll stay right. Wait. Wait. No one. Just lost the right, mate. Alright, here we go. Mailbox is back, quick. That's dead.
What about you, Twy? Where can we find you guys on social media? So why don't we start with you?
Eclipse FNN on Twitter and Eclipse27 on YouTube and
Here we go.
Eclipse on Twitch.
Excuse me. What do you think you're doing?
I was just kind of...
27Twy21 on Twitter and 27Twy on Twitch.
I just took my insulin from the letterbox, okay? I'm sorry.
Sir, you know the rules, okay? We're in Australia. There's Australian lockdown. COVID's a real thing. According to Rule 69, subsection 420, you're not supposed to leave your fucking house.
I just go to the mailbox. I feel really sick.
Now, on the left side of the screen,
Sir, I'm going to explain this to you as quickly and as easily as I can. See that house over there?
This new change that came in this week, and you can see
That used to be the Jensens. They went out because they were taking the dog outside to take a shit. Now it's in the pound with all.
I'll go back inside.
Eddie, make an example out of them.
I will do, sir.
Look, please.
This is for your own good, muchacho. I mean, motherfucker.
Now, sir, whatever you do, you stay in that house. You hear me?
I'm inside.
Initially in the zone. So
Look at them, dude. You go out there. I'm sorry for breathing the oxygen, Mr. Freedom Man. Oh my god, there's a fucking laser on me. Well, let me tell you something about lockdown. You need to work and this motherfucker. I've tested negative 16 times. I'm not a threat. My mate Josh here has dietary requirements. He needs to go to the mailbox through there to get his insulin, and you just insult him on my property. I've seen it. Alright? I hate living under this fascist regime. I don't like it. I hate me. Yeah, forget about that. God, I love instilling freedom in public.
God, I love being the Australian government.
Hey, you guys want to cross the street and go to America real quick, where we can spit in each other's mouths and step outside whenever we want?
Yeah,
Let's go!
Hey, yo, we popping. Let's go. Wait.
You can see some of these teams are able to make some of those early rotations.
Okay, now go. Imagine not being able to cross the street.
Imagine thinking that crossing the street is unsafe, but spitting in each other's mouths is totally normal. Yeah, you're stuck in the town, the blue eyes American people on the other side of the street. Fucking in our faces. You know the worst part is, really not 300K today. Only 300? Shut the fuck up! Those are rookie numbers. We had over 2,000 in my neighborhood alone. If we're not, we're covered in restrictions. It's like the government's about to take chest to go like in a con you would get every day. Hey, Smashing, you wanna play Big Bird, Little Bird? Yeah, give me that taco sauce. Ready?
But it happens like tenfold because of this new zone. There's not a lot of space that these teams can kind of early rotate in.
That was for real. That's right. That's for real. I'm taking my video that one. I'm sorry. I want to play. Whoa, you said something about street over there?
Hey, the hell? You better be obliged to your COVID nationality traits there.
What are you talking about? Nationality traits? Australian. Hey, no speaking out of your window because you will spread COVID by speaking out of your window.
Do you not have your fucking windows closed?
Well, you shut them out last week when I went to get the paper reports.
I miss these guys.
Hey! What's wrong, big guy?
Are you gonna put some ribbon on me?
on the Australian government, they're going too far with this lockdown. They're not going too far, mate. Yes, they are. No, it's not. Look. Yeah, okay, that's... You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I get the point now. Yeah, fair enough. What's happening? What's happening? Wrong way. Oh, no.
I'm sorry, was that a fucking cough?
No, it's a queef. That sounded like a cough. It was a big queef. I just a queef from my sleep. No, it was just a queef. I know a cough when I hear one. Where are you going? Boys, please! Please!
Eradicate the virus.
Die! Eradicate the virus! Boys, what's that? I'm done with the Americans across the street.
Check out the state is going to be materials. Make sure you manage materials very
Look at you. Fucking losers! You can't even leave your house! Check the new retarded house right now as well! Oh yeah, watch this! Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Chill on nose. Come on. Come on. Oh, God. No, surely.
Yeah, we got it.
All together now. Stand right here. Ready? At the count of 3, we're gonna step outside. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Australia, see this shit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What's your ass? Oh, you see it? Oh, it will. Charge!
I hit that. Stop playing.
What's your name?
You hit what?
Nah, bro. Chill.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What's your name?
What skin are you?
Fuck you, Josh. Hey, what's that guy's name? Hola, mi nombre es
Are you
Eddie.
playing box fights?
Bro.
What's that
Oh,
say?
I just told you. Are you trying tacos?
Hey, at least I can walk outside and see my trash can. I can even touch it,
You got Aaron
smell it,
Sanders.
do whatever I want to it, while you guys are stuck inside. I'm gonna lick my trash can as well.
Because I'm lagging so bad. I'm on like 400 now. I'm on 200. 100. I'm on such high ping.
Bro, what did my teammate do? Teammate, help please. Ah, this guy freaking trained.
The qualifiers last week, a large amount of
Got
turnover
that.
today.
You really
That
got
just
that?
makes the competition even more strenuous. You have to.
Yes, you really do got
Let's
that.
go.
Otherwise, you just won't have
Look
enough
at that.
series
I
points
told
to
you
be
you
able
got
to
that.
get through to the next
Hey,
stage of
come here.
the
Where you
competition.
at? Where you at? Go
Where are
silver.
you?
Important you find yourself.
Oh no, he went silver.
If that's not the case, really fighting for your tournament.
Wait, what's your name? What's your username? Call him tacos?
Clam tacos. Yeah.
I added you. I added you.
He actually gets knocked. It's
I accepted.
He's gonna be there.
Hold up. You go for my teammate. I'm gonna go for yours.
I thought he got knocked, but 1 HP is better than
Okay.
nothing.
It's your teammate. His team, bro. Your teammate's trying to build the
Your teammate's dead.
teammate. Oh, hold up. I need to get. Where's your teammate?
Right,
Oh, I see him. He thought he. Oh my god, I missed.
Here, hold on. I'm gonna invite you.
He's not gonna have the time to.
Real quick, call him tacos. I got you.
I'm gonna die.
I invited you.
You can see now building up no
I didn't know I could aim in and accept things. Oh.
Go to party
What is
channel.
that?
Go to
Why
party
am I-
channel, okay? Go to party channel.
Who come out on top
Okay.
here?
Surprise!
Don't kill me,
I know
bro.
that's not the one Zeke was hoping for on his birthday, but we get a surprise nonetheless. Something we didn't really expect to see. And Malibuca 1 HP returning back. Probably thought the player was more weak than he actually was. His gold is down. Anchor's trying to go ahead and get that res as well.
Yeah, no, Malibuca and Thomas, they spent a lot of the season deciding on a drop spot. It was only right before the finals they landed on racetrack and decided that would be the spot of choice. And having problems here, getting out dropped. Racetrack, a very difficult spot to contest. Your drops have to be on point, and they aren't quite able to do it in this game, but plenty more opportunities for them.
Yeah, you're seeing very, very early on. A lot of these players, once they get that early damage, even if they do go down, their teammates have that trust. They're trying to return back, not let a lot of that damage go to waste. So that way they can, in theory, pick up the eliminations, get the siphon, match everything that they fight for until that point. To jump on board our FNCS Invitational Champions. And this is one of the teams we were kind of prefacing and talking about.
Yeah, these guys didn't make it past the qualifiers last time, right? They couldn't make it out of round 1 last week, which is insane for a duo who has shown so much pedigree in competitive Fortnite history. But they are here now, and it is make or break for their season. They have to have a good result today. The series points are too valuable. Queasy and Venno, obviously, the duo that is very much associated with them. because of that historic moment at the Invitational. They did qualify last week and they did incredibly well, and they'll look to do so again here. In my opinion, the favorites to win the whole competition this season. They've looked like the best team over the course of it thus far.
Hey, we talk about looking good throughout the course of this season. Mr. Savage and Vidil. Last week, they finished at the top of our leaderboards. This week, though, a little bit of a change-up of story. I think they qualified in about 48th place, like a 3- or 4-way tie with 218 points through round 2. But there's one thing that I've learned throughout my history here in Fortnite is whether you finish 1st or 50th throughout round number 2, it's all about making it here to the finals, to where you have that set lobby. And you know as well as I do, once you have all the top players in one lobby, it kind of changes the way certain things play out.
DKS and Bad Sniper here in a battle at Shattered Slabs. We see many of these battles here at this POI, Jacob. Of course, there is a vote here, and so many of the players want to fight for that loot.
This is a battle that I'm not sure they're expecting to have this early in the game. Against Queasy and Vino on the left side, on the right, Sinead and Razumi. They're trying to be a little bit more proactive. They're trying to end this one a little bit quicker, but both of their respective teammates are not actually in this fight. But it goes to show that Sinead and Razumi, they're going to be the first ones to try to react. They're going to disengage out, realizing their position here on the map so far, and so they're trying to play that long game, play for safety. You add in the fact they are very, very low on mats. This is a fight that I 100% agree with disengaging in.
Yeah, you can see just looking to try farm up the rock. Unfortunately, it's not going to give him much right now with the state of that, but it'll be just enough to allow him some extra protection as he groups up with Arizumi.
This is like the stage in the game where still rather early. Everybody doesn't want to throw it away now.
Yeah, and you can see just here south of Kinjutsu, Vino and Queasy again in this battle. And these are the kind of fights they like to take, right? Early on, a very isolated fight. They know there's not going to be many players in this general area to third-party this. And when you've got the best fighter in all of Fortnite on your team, they're always going to be confident to win these kind of fights. Vino is so prominent in these battles. And look at this play from Queasy. I'm bigging up Vino, but Queasy making the plays happen. A nice movement there with the kinetic blade and then catching his opponent off guard. Big damage being dealt.
Oh,
and he knows he used that toilet just to get out, but Queasy will be waiting and not quite the shots for the final one.
Wow.
Brilliantly done. And on the other side, Vino actually cleaned up the other, so that's a clean sweep for this duo.
2 different fights playing out 2 different ways, and both of them being victorious. That's the trust they have in one another, though, because Queasy could have easily turned around, tried to help out Veno, finish that fight quicker, and then take another 2v1. But they have so much trust, and they realize the situation. 2 players with no HP, easy cleanup.
Yeah, brilliantly done from that duo. And of course, the zone pool is very favorable to them. They can stay in that Kinjutsu area for a while and continue to rack up surge damage. Putrick and Tus's solution to racking up surge damage will be to base up here. We see this base be built by practically every team that lands at that racetrack area, so nothing too surprising there. It's just going to be whether Putrick can actually connect and hit the shots that are presented to him. Ooh, what do we have here?
Uh-oh. Nico's one of those players. He's able to sneak up on somebody. He's just farming. Podeside doesn't see him coming, but at the last second, almost like he got some sort of comms or maybe heard him sprinting, but he's by himself. He's separated only for a few seconds, though, as Kylie closes the distance along with his own kinetic blade, as they are able to at least hold on to some resemblance of the high ground, as now they're trying to go for the peace control, which is so important, but the third party's coming in, shots slowly but surely raining in from the north.
Yeah, part of me wonders if maybe, just maybe, Viko was too patient in his attempt to line up the perfect shot. I think he just got spotted by Podeside just at the sort of last moment with the way he sort of moved and turned. But it's interesting, right? Because these guys don't have to worry about being contested at the south side of Slappy. And so they are just going to look to take fights up here against the north team in Podeside in an attempt to sort of rack up storm surge damage, make sure they are above that threshold.
And interesting, you see them getting a little more confident, kind of converging on that north side Slappy team, because typically in a different style of lobby, that would be Taysa, that would be Mustache. Things would play out just a little bit different. So you can see the effects of so many new teams interchanging in and out of a lot of these lobbies as Nyrox is finally going to make his appearance. Shadows along with him. Not too many heals or mobility on them, though.
Yeah, and honestly, the first thing I think when I see Nyrox here is props to Nyrox. Right? This is an OG in the scene. Of course, way back in the day, winning the World Cup duo competition alongside Aqua. And it's not been very often nowadays that we see him in weekly finals like this one in FNC. It's good to see him back on the grind, back doing well in these other competitions.
It's almost like a loot laundry. You don't expect them to see very often in a lot of these games, but when you do finally get a glimpse, it's great things to be had as PKR and Link. They're trying to have a great rotation, but almost perfect accuracy coming out. He's taking him down, stopping the rotation, and is trying to close the distance in the blink of an eye. They got that first elimination. Now they're trying to get one step closer to the end of this game.
Yeah, it's very rare that you completely help a player out of a situation. Drops and tries to get shots at the end. That's very well clear. To make sure they reach first, that combat cache here. And the loot that comes with it. They already have good loot. You can see the mythic shotgun in the beef. Nice to have as well as any extra shields. Yeah, there.
Taking down the way that one started, but whether he has a red eye or a twin-mag SMG, you can see he's accurate in practicing it, making sure they can pick up those eliminations. That's why you see them with one so far. 2 points. That top 25 when they begin to set in is Curb. Another one of our returning teams here to this one, along with Default. They're fighting from the low ground against Pootrick and Twos, who's already off to a hot start. We're stuck between two different teams on either side. You can kind of see why. That was they were fighting for all that loot. We saw other teams kind of just trying to top themselves off and just make sure they have now they're fighting opportunity to make this one come true.
Yeah, of course, they've got to be careful. The fighting came into this competition in fine form. Curb and Default, first place in round 2.
Big.
And here in round 3, they hope they can replicate. That is very good to see the first place team in round 2 win round 3 as well.
Finally called too early, but hey, good little escape for now. Realizing, hey, we don't have a ton of splashes. All we have is those slurp juices, so you got to try to conserve as much of that white HP as possible. Set yourself up for the end of this game. Outside of Mega City, and the zone continues to move north, which means
looking at the map there, you don't have to be a genius to know a lot of those teams all the way on the outskirts there, just fighting for caches, looking to get those caches and loot up as best as possible. And of course, Rift Island will spawn at some point soon, and so you also got to be ready for that. Hydro in for Strokey. Here in this Mega City area, based up on a very strong hill. One of the problems they'll have in this game is that there's not actually as many players rotating in and around this area. So definitely have to hit their shots with Surge, and there it is, as I was saying, Rift Island spawning there. Who will claim it becomes the question, Jacob, because everybody wants those pulse rifles.
I was scratching my head, wondering who's going to be brave enough. Yeah, if you're able to kind of clean the top of that, you get the overclock pulse rifles, which you talk about, you get some extra heals, but you got to imagine how many other teams are confident to go for it. And that's a battle you don't necessarily want to be a part of. It's aiming a few shots into the distance, just trying to help their Storm Surge. PKR and Struggle Spear continue to at least able to take down one player on their journey to play against Rift Island. There's still another team directly there near them, and there's a couple of teams towards the outskirts, and they have the option with Rift down low to be that third party.
Side breaks out on the other side of things. Loot as well. That big hole will do wonders for Luke's HP.
The other side for him, it's all about just surviving. They're is a reboot ban here as well. Nice cone coming out from Coop, defensive end, stopping him in his tracks, but he takes a huge shot and it through. Coop is just making wonderful plays right before our very eyes, able to get the first of 2 eliminations, but he knows battle and his job is not done just yet. He's getting shoved deeper into the storm, but he's on the slower side, so he has about 50 seconds before it fully closes.
It's very rare you see a player get completely pieced up, by the way, and still come out on top. I didn't think it was possible for Coop. I saw the pre-piece come through and it was like, okay, it's going to be wraps, but no, hits the big shot and rightfully comes out on top of that engagement. Look at this PKR. I thought he had it all finished, wrapped up, sealed in a box, and no.
When the box becomes the boxer, I don't even know what to call that right now, but Coop, that one's definitely going in his highlight reel after this one. If he can kind of finish this one off, have a great day. Still has to go through Link though. Honestly, the winner of this gets so much because you get an opportunity to get your teammate back into the game on top of that Rift Island where no team should try to contest it. If they do hear that reboot going off, you're going to be able to get all that loot as well as Link just continuing trying to bulldoze his way into the box. He has that overclock pulse rifles. So the blink of an eye, he can do so much damage. He gets in. The cone is there as well, but he goes down. Coop with a huge play to save the day.
Again, another situation where you look at Coop and you think you just really shouldn't be in a position to win this fight, but he just connects with the big shot, and sometimes that's all it comes down to, Jacob. You might not be in the best position, but if you have the better aim and you can hit the bigger shot, you will come out on top.
Headshots only for Coop, 185. That was just a huge effort, and honestly, that's got to be oozing confidence and momentum from you and your teammates, because even though he is going to take some damage to the storm, he's going to get his reboot back up, and his teammate and him are going to have all that loot to claim as their own.
Look at Queasy and Vino faced up high here. The loot is looking magnificent for later down the line when you want to play a heal off. The chug splashes, the slurps. And if they have game time augment, things will be looking good. But look, before we get to heal-offs, I'm getting too ahead of myself. We have to wind down and take a look at what some of the other players in the lobby are doing. Of course, other people will be stacking up their heals as well. It's not just going to be Queasy doing that. It will be some of the others around. But to give us a brief update on what is going on around the lobby, we have none other than the best tackle to fill us in.
Of course, there's a lot of action taking place everywhere on the map, but as far as Bad Sniper and DKS are concerned, it's the vault and shattered slabs that's going to be their priority point. Plenty of loot, ample resources, and gives them more than enough time to take their time even before actually pushing through for these zone rotations. You can see Bad Sniper and DKS even managing to collect some nice Storm Surge tags in the process, and now they're ready to get it moving.
Shout out to Taco. Making sure we have eyes on every single team, every single plan and trick underneath these player sleeves. Will that work out for them? Well, only time will tell, and that is the beauty of Fortnite. So many different chaotic moments here in this match. It's all about consistency and survival throughout the next 6 games. Mr. Savage and Vidil, even though they don't have an elimination so far, they're 264 above the threshold with very little to worry about.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this team's trajectory. Of course, a bit of a hiccup yesterday in round 2, a bit of complacency on their side.
A little bit.
Just a tad bit. I'm sure they would own up to it as well after speaking to them on it. But the big thing for that duo is if they can continue to play how they did last week, they will be a solid contender for the championship come finals time.
Ooh. Talking about a solid contender. First place in last week, Shamoki looking like he's doing that as a solo. Teammate probably going down long ago. They were one of the teams kind of tie history. 3 different VRs on the day last week, tying greatness right in his tracks. All he needed was one more to break that record. Fakey and Fremont, 300 above the damage threshold. You can see the position they've solidified here, just outside of zone, but kind of gatekeeping a lot of those teams that have to rotate from Mega City.
Yeah, and sitting in the bushes. No strategy that we aren't too familiar with. This is something we're not too familiar with. Seti and Cammy, not up as a duo. It is just Seti alive. And as great as players they are, always going to be stronger together. That's not the case in this game, and the problem is, as good as the loot Seti has is, running low on builds, and he doesn't want to use his chug splashes, right? Because he is thinking about heal off down the line. I think the big thing for him, though, is that at this point, maybe it would be better to just use them and give himself a better chance, a better shot of staying alive in this game, over prioritizing them for heal off.
I like that. You know, in his head, he's using too early. I can't win heal off. Well, you don't make it to that stage in the game, they're pointless either way. So he definitely has some decisions to be made along with DKS and Bad Sniper. We saw the setup for them to get into this position, but you can see that they're missing something rather important when it comes to this game, when it comes to their position, and that's any bit of white heals, from chug splashes, med kits, med mist. There's so many different variants, and they have none of them.
Yeah, and I think one of the only saving graces for them in this situation is that we get to take a look at that new 7th zone. Obviously, this new 6th zone was just before this as well, and they're positioned in it, so they haven't got to move. They can just wait and watch as players start to make their way on in. In the case of Nisha and Tina, they are one of those teams that has to make their way on in, and there are a lot of players in between them and that zone. Fortunately, though, they have the katanas, purple ones at that, so they have that one extra charge. And they will start to make their move now.
Just like a rotations past different versions of Fortnite, it's going to be timing and the necessary execution of it to really bypass a lot of the chaos. But with a lot of teams already in the center of the zone, you're going to see a lot of these teams try to go early. You don't want to be the last one trying to rotate on out. As you can see on the other side, Bad Sniper, DKS, becoming a victim of Storm Surge. And you see that his shields are already cracked. So Bose and Dirty here on the other side, they know they're weak. They know they're victims of Storm Surge, which is why you see them playing defensive, waiting for that perfect moment to strike.
Yeah, they are above on Surge, but they will need a bit more damage. It's not a comfortable spot to be in by any means. So you'll see Boaz will continue to scout. Of course, Boaz made it to his first FNCS final last major, and will be looking to do that again here, playing with a different teammate. But nonetheless, the goal stays the same. And for the deal and Savage, they will look to capitalize on those teams who are struggling for Surge. And they'll do so pretty well here, just continue to apply pressure. The deal just eagerly looking, knows that player is going to walk out at some point.
Didn't even get it. Okay,
Savage did.
Yeah, maybe Savage did. I thought it was a whole different one. Great opportunity. But you can see how most of the team is already in zone, and this one's going to be a little different. A river running straight through the center with the 2 different elevations on each side. You can see how they're just peeking at that perfect moment as zone begins to overcome. That siphon was important. All that loot right before they make their next journey towards the center of this next zone. A good portion of the lobby, though, they did get a max pull. How they handle this is going to be important. Depending on if you have ODM gear and a kinetic blade, it's going to change the way you begin to rotate as well.
Yeah, of course. Tulips and Chicho. It'll be very important to see how they handle this one, of course. Trulex, that IGL, that leader, scouting, making sure he's aware of everything around him, and a bit of a surprise right in front of his boxer. Maybe it's the opportunity. You can see he's going for it, tries to catch them out. Isn't quite able to catch them in time, though.
Well, it's the best opportunity as any, though. Just one wood ramp really separating them. As Irazumi just has his work cut out for them. Queasy Vino as well. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, continuously trying to backtrack, put themselves in a better spot. Their own box at that, because that would have been dangerous if anybody tries to peek. A little bit of a lobby focus here, but nothing that they can't handle as they return, and Burn taking down Irazumi. Tened was already knocked, so they get all that loot in the world, and look at the difference in which it's going to make their game.
Yeah, that was somewhat of a saving grace as well for them. I wonder what Vino has in terms of heals, because Queasy is usually that player that plays the heal off for this duo. Unfortunately, he had to use a bunch of his heals. A nice limb there, though, along the way. It's important that Vino has something for them, and if not, we'll have to find it if they do want to play for heal off. This is Savage in the deal. Also still alive, also still looking good, and consistently making it to endgame, which is what they did last week, which led to their success.
This is going to be the tricky part, though, this portion of the end game where we begin to get those moving zones, and where you heal, where you use a lot of your resources is going to be very, very telling of where you end up at the end of the game. You can see Zara already popping one legendary slurp juice. All you need is at least one. Zangy has wing condition on his back, but high above the ground, high above the rest. Nathan and Jake, when everything comes chopping down, they're going to be forced to use the kinetic blade to keep their high ground intact. But Jake, he actually gets knocked altogether. But so much pressure on Nathan as a solo, and he's barely above the damage threshold.
He's got to give it up. Zangy and Zara will not allow him to stay, and he knows that he drops down. Zangy and Zara, they like to play high, and so that's what they'll do here in game one. They're looking to take it. Seti, still alive as a duo, and he's looking strong. The materials are starting to run low, and so we have to start to get creative soon. But if you're Mappy and I drop, or Mappy and Mappy, I should say, things are also looking good. A nice refresh found there, and they got a lot of heals to work with.
Yeah, perfect for them. Just take note, any other player would probably just get that elimination, get the scraps, leave it in that box. They bring it all the way to them, to where they have that safety, where they have that comfortable feeling of being able to finally get the elimination. But Blink, you might have missed it. Savage goes down. High ground putting the pressure there. We lose Venom along the way, but Queasy's up for the challenge. He's able to get at least another elimination, trying to claim that loot, but on the other side is a hungry player ready to take him down.
The big thing for Queasy here, though, is look at his materials, absolutely max, and he has so many chug splashes. Maybe not enough heals to win the game, but he has more than enough to stay in this one till the very end, can continue to just top out the rest of his endgame with his match if he really chooses to. Things are not all lost for this duo. For Vadildo, doesn't have Savage anymore, in a very similar situation, but he's also looking good on his materials.
9 splashes is all he's really going to have left, but luckily for him, a lot of that damage was shield, but he's going to go ahead and expend it, save him, put him in the back pocket. He knows they're going to come in use later. As Curb, Default, they're trying to go unscathed, but towards a little bit towards their left, a little bit of high ground, they get tagged up for them. They only have a few slices of pizza. They're only enough to get through lunch, but what about dinner?
Gotta be careful of these players on your layer. Mappy dropping down. Understand that they have to stay out of that congestion. They want to clear there. They want to be free of all the teams around them. And Queasy very much doing the same thing here. Making sure he's very aware and looking for opportunities, not shying away at all. Does want to find any other solos looking like him who he can capitalize on.
You can see instead of just straight kinetic blading, he's trying to keep his position relatively unknown. Zara and Zangy, they're still holding on to the high ground. It doesn't matter how many times things get chopped away from them. Vadil as well. We talked about him being a solo, losing Savage very, very early on in terms of these cascading placement points. So this game is huge in terms of the next 6 that they're going to play overall. Kylie gets lost backside of zone. Another player in Vico going to have to do it as a solo.
Vico, hoping Kylie was able to drop all those heals to him so he can continue to play this one out. Things are looking so good for Zangy and Zara though, all the way up there. Nobody really posing a threat to them. They can just start to count their heals, figure out how long they can last in this game before one of them drops down to fight. Howley and now Tensi down below, running low on pizzas, but they're going to continue to top out, and there will be players here to capitalize on them right down beneath that layer, just having to break their way through builds that aren't theirs so they can form new land. Apex Mappy now, all the way in the back of the zone. He's going to have to start healing.
Yep, you see those splashes going off. He doesn't have time to pop the slurp juice. Almost threading the needle there, but pushes out the slap juice again. He's trying to battle against Vico, who takes him down. There's a huge amount of heals from Vico to claim as his own. It's going to close overall, and this is where the heal off is going to begin. Zangy drops down low. He's going to be the fragger, but doesn't even make it close to anybody.
Doesn't take anybody down along the way, and so the heal offs begin up above. Will Zara have enough? Didn't really take any storm ticks. Gonna be looking to try find anyone. If he gets that, he gets a refresh for it as well. Things are looking good for Zara. As long as he didn't take earlier damage, he won't have to worry about storm sickness. Vika will try his best, but his best won't be enough here unless he can find chugs. No, he cannot. Voxy, gonna start to run low, but does still have quite a lot of heals actually. Pizza does have the slurp popped as well, and the chug splashes, and I'm not sure what Zara has left. Does he have anything in the zone? If not, it might be a clean sweep for Voxy. As long as storm sickness doesn't play a factor, things are looking very good for him here in this game.
It's all up to this moment. A few seconds, that's all Zara has, but he's gonna get himself a couple of more, but storm sickness finally does him in. Vox takes the game with more than enough pizza to spare.
Unlucky for Zara, they couldn't quite pop that flopper in time. Even then though, when you look at what Vox had, there was just way too much in the arsenal for him to out-heal. But he was prepared, he was ready. They were doing their thing down below, and they were able to survive to the very final moment.
I hope that he gave that pizza boy a huge V-Buck tip because he didn't get just one pizza in terms of that heal off. He had 2 different game time augments popped. Him and his teammate played that one perfect. 2 slices left, 6 different splashes to watch it all down. That is a huge start here for them and their weekly final.
Yeah, and we really saw a contrast in the style played by Vox throughout that game, right? Because there at the end has to be very passive, stay hidden, use the heals appropriately. But earlier on, we were seeing him frag out. We were seeing him take fights and hit crazy shots earlier as well. So a very, very balanced game for that team.
Yeah, we know where they're probably sitting maybe in a top 5 position on the leaderboard, but we got a very special birthday boy to break it all down for us and let us know what it looks like.
You just had to go there, didn't you? You just had to go there every time. Vox, Kaizen, they should probably hit up the Pizza Pit, look to be sponsored by the Pizza Pit because they got pizza. You want it, they got it.
Yeah, we were watching the end game unfold, right? The heal up obviously starting to happen, and then there was 2 pizzas on the ground, and me and Minnie were like,
we literally looked at each other like how? 2? 2? 2? I mean, it's a pizza party going on there. I feel like we should have a pizza party because, you know, if you didn't know, it's Zeke's birthday. But yes, Vox, of course, and Kaizen, what a performance in the end game. As Levin mentioned, they were just so adaptable to their situation. They needed refreshes, so they went out and got them. Yeah. Once they got them, they chilled. They relaxed a little bit. They thought, you know what? We've got enough heals to win this game. And oh boy, did they go about it in such great fashion.
You know, to be fair, though, finding the eliminations to actually find some of these heals, have the materials kind of build into the end game, obviously playing a very, very big factor here. But then shout out to them for not taking any storm damage basically throughout the game, right? Because we saw storm sickness affect so many players throughout that end game, did not affect Vox at all.
Not at all.
Storm sickness, man. In case you don't know, it's just managing how much of the storm you're taking before these final end game moments. And for them, it does work out. Let's take a look at the standings. How are things shaking out after game 1? Now, as always, don't forget, this is just game 1. Everything's fine. Everybody calm down. Kaizen, Vox, they're going to hold that #1 spot, that Victory Royale, and even honestly paired up with 6 eliminations. I feel like that's a little more than we're kind of used to seeing when we're looking at heal-offs.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, 6 eliminations is good, and I think that just comes down to the fact that they needed to get those refreshes. Another team that did do very, very well, particularly as a solo, was Queasy and Venno. Of course, Venno went down a little bit earlier on than he would have liked right there, and we often talk about Venno as the solo player, the fragger. The ability that he has is unmatched, but Queasy's turning up to the party as well, and he did such a great job here, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to, you know, kind of play as a solo when it comes to these FNCS-style lobbies, but at one point we tuned into Queasy, and he had literally 500 wood, 500 brick, 500 metal, so he was definitely prepared, had all of the resources to go ahead and find that, and as you see it, that refresh right there is what allowed him to actually play so late into that end game. Of course, those chunk splashes playing a vital role as well. He used them so effectively.
Yeah, they really did. And when you're as a solo, when you're in an end game, when you're in this situation, it's very easy just to back off, play safe, play passive. But Queasy knows, he has the experience, he knows exactly what to do, and that's be aggressive when it matters. When he needs to get those refreshes, to get those 13 chug splashes, I believe he had at one point, he needs to go for those eliminations and pick up those refreshes. He did it at the perfect time, and he knew, if I stack up these chug splashes enough, we can at least get a top 5 here, and it was good.
That's why you guys talked about it at the start of the show, right? Yeah. How you might have all the heals in the world, but how do you actually effectively utilize them? A duo in the 10th place, Vidil and Mr. Savage. I mean, a duo we had eyes on in week #1, looking to come back with just that much of a stronger performance.
I mean, that's the highlight, right? Remember, only 15 returning teams in this week 2 finals that were in week 1 finals, and Vidil and Mr. Savage are one of them, right? So they're already looking good when it comes to those series points, but even today, putting up a performance already top 10, I'm excited to see how this duo plays throughout FNCS as a total, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see them in grand finals already.
I hope so. I definitely think they have the potential for it. They have the experience certainly as well, and from one solo clutch to another, Vidil did such a great job here to keep in the game, keep themselves alive. And again, getting enough refreshes, not quite working out right there at the end, but Vidil is such a great player, such a great fragger. I feel like he's almost underrated in his actual fragging ability. Everyone knows him as a great brain. He knows how to play the game. He has that experience. But when it comes down to mechanics, he is really looking strong right now.
And a duo in 2nd place, Zara, Zangi. These guys, after game #1, are looking fantastic. I guess for me, the question would be, can we continue that momentum for 5 more games?
I mean, of course, you know, losing out to that heal-off ultimately, but getting 2nd place, still very, very impressive. But the keynote for me here, high ground.
Yeah, they dominated it. They were all the way up there. They took it at a really nice time as well. And unfortunately, they didn't quite have the white heals to make it happen for the heal-off, but still a solid performance there at the end. Of course, Zangi having to drop down below, and unfortunately, didn't find anything, just went immediately straight down. But unfortunately for them, didn't quite work out as they would have expected. Zara, I believe they had a little bit of storm sickness here at the end, and it wasn't quite ideal for them, but just ran out of heals a little too late here. And of course, we saw the flopper coming through.
Almost.
Not quite enough time. There's is that storm sickness that just came in at the worst moment.
And we did talk about this at the start of the show, the new zone circle 6 and 7. How do you guys feel like they maybe impacted this first game?
You know, top show, I was like, listen, you know, everybody's going to be congested on one of these edges, one of these sides, right? But right there, zone 6, I feel like everybody was able to like spread out and almost like no effect really happened to many of these teams, which is why I think we saw so many people alive in the end game actually able to play that heal up, because Zone 6 was honestly not that brutal in this lobby.
No, it really wasn't. I think a lot of the teams might have watched our top of show, our beginning, actually, because they rotated in early. They were like, you know, I'm going to take tips from that Vivid guy because he knows what he's talking about.
That's not always true, but for, like, I'd say 99.9% of the time, that's pretty true.
9%.
I said 99.9%.
Oh.
Yeah, come on, Vivid. I'm giving you some credit. My gosh, 5 more games to go. Game 1 seemed pretty okay. People adjusted accordingly. Are you hoping to maybe see something done differently in these next games? It feels like right now it's a pretty good start.
Listen, there was 10 players going into that heal up, right? That's pretty much what we saw in week 1. We were expected some of these changes to zone 6 and 7 to affect a lot of these teams. It seems like they have done a great job at adapting, so I guess just more great performances.
More great performances. I said it last week. Jalen, victory royale, game 2. It's going to happen. Second time lucky. Let's go.
Mini Fighter, let's find out. Jalen, you've been called out. You have to do this. You have no option. It is victory royale or bust. You're right here, right now. Game number 2 is upon us here from the FNCS, so let's jump back into it.
With game number 2 upon us, we got our top dogs, we got our teams that are fighting for that top spot. But a huge change up. We saw them go down early, Thomas and Malibuca. They're gonna be my team to watch here in game 2.
Yeah, look, racetrack is such a hard spot to fight off sport. Very, very difficult. And so as we hop right onto the battle bus once more, will they be able to outdrop their adversaries? We see it, it's so all over the place. You have to be really, really on point. And even one of the best teams in all of the world, a team that came second last major, struggling off spawn there. Will that be the theme of today, though? I certainly would think not. You've got to think that Thomas and Malibuca will come in on point, ready. They might just made a whole new drop map in between that game just to be ready for this one. And you can see them both gliding in here. Ooh, look, it looks like Thomas and Malibuca a bit more ahead, but Putrick a bit lower. Look, they've outdropped them by far this time round. Thomas and Malibuca, can they land on the right weapons though? That is what happens of teams landing. But Thomas is there ready. A nice shot with that shotgun and needs to do the rest of the damage.
You can see him just kind of barely farming up. Any mats are better than none. Toos with that elevation, putting some great shots onto Malibuca, but Thomas is there trying to go for a flank. That one's gonna be successful. Toos is gonna be our first player down here towards the racetrack. That Siphon mats are allowing Thomas to kind of position up. And this is where he's just on the hunt for information. Figure out where Putrick actually went and try to get him out of this lobby altogether.
Yeah, last time around we saw Malibuca almost just sort of run in and look to close things out. Putrick doing the same, but working with a lot more HP than Malibuca was last game. And Malibuca not working with much at all either. Needs to go to the start track and break it, but if they do right now, it will work in Putrick's favor. So Thomas will just deal the damage that needs to be done. He's obviously the one that picked up that shotgun and only has the 1 pellet left. So doing the business there, Thomas.
I just saw it in the minimap. Bacon just landing some shots, and you can see where I'm just battling for the swords.
On earth?
Honestly, you know, that's a mini game within Fortnite right now. He just pushed him out altogether. That is what you call using the kinetic blades for outside of the box thinking.
That is Fortnite. This is why we play.
That happened to me yesterday.
You shouldn't admit to that happening to you, by the way. You shouldn't tell anybody.
I blame Caster Lash, man. He let me down. We landed there. He got the sword. I didn't. He left me. He left me out dry. It's all right. We got some VRs after that. So that could be a preface of something here. Go down to kinetic blade. You come back. You try again. Maybe you get a VR. Cashy's by himself. He's fighting back in 1v1 versus Teeny, who's not ready to go for the mantle and finish that one off. Well played shot with Havoc, and then quickly switch on over to Twin Mag to finish that one up. Not too many teams nearby, which means he's going to get his teammate back in no time.
I do want to unfortunately say that I did notice that Twy and Jalen's went down in the feed, so I'm sure Minimine is somewhere crying right now.
Yeah. Vox getting pushed back, getting pushed off by himself as well. going to see how he's really able to defend himself. A huge sneak attack. Gets the first knock on the flopper fan. Back to back at that. Now that is one hard-earned fight.
Ooh, what do we have there? Look. We're at Slappy Shores. It was a bit quieter last time we were here at Slappy Shores. This time round, Vika and Kylie, they're the ones being forced to the north side, while Further Science Nazi on the south, a bit of a role reverse.
It's interesting to see them just kind of poking for more shots. Anything when it comes to Storm Surge, very, very early on. First circle, kind of center for everybody else. Very slight southern pull to it. Got to imagine this one is going to continue to go south, and hopefully a lot of these teams done their homework, trying to plan ahead when it comes to where these zones are going to pull, but from one 1v2 to another. Definitely has his work cut out for him. He's hot on the run. He's trying to go for those launch pads to try to get out. He's going to go ahead and hit it, but the shields are just getting drained, and there goes Altinzi and Howley going to finish that one off. That's only one elimination, though, and not a ton of Storm Surge.
Yeah, they'll need to do a lot more than just that. They want to continue along with this game for Kaizen and Vox. Over here at the Brutal Bastion, of course, the winners of that first game. In an impressive fashion with Vox really strutting their stuff around that lobby. Of course, winning their heal off towards the end. Now, switching pace for them as they hop into a fight here at Bastion. They want to control this POI. They want to control the volts that comes with it. And you've got to get rid of all your competition here to do that successfully.
They really just pushed this team that had already a tower built with no fear, almost as if there's no consequences, but it has to show the confidence. Kind of oozing over from game one here into game two. High card's going to spawn. Nobody has to go for it right out of the gate. You can't get distracted. Kaizen and Vox are doing a good job of forcing their players and opponents down to the low ground. It's just a swap in position. They just wanted the card first, saying, hey, if you guys want this, they're going to have to go through us. We're the new Vault boss.
Yeah, these guys are going to have just the best possible loot. Like, everything's going to be absolutely perfect for them. Their POI is also the gold POI this game, right? So they're going to have those sort of drones flying about that they can take shots at, pick up even more loot if they want to, if they're feeling greedy and whatnot.
Be the first team they immediately run over. And this is where their opponents, now the decision's theirs. Do you contest for it? Do you try to hold them in? Do you disengage, maybe return later on in the game and try to get the scraps that's left behind? Who knows, but only time will tell as Queasy, Veno. Kind of very, very usual business for them over towards Kinjitsu Crossing. Not too many teams contesting them, so they have to look outward for their search.
I think the scary thing about that team is that that's a game that you probably say isn't one of their best in the sense of, you know, one of them is down. It's relying on the other to solo clutch, and yet they still did so well, right? Sitting in the top 5 after that one. So it's a very, very consistent team that will find their way high up on the standings regardless of the circumstances, it seems.
This is where you got to be careful, though. We've seen this one too many times. Link and PKR trying to learn from that last game. Same could be said for Shadow and Nyrox, who takes a big tag, but that's just going to be a trade, shield for shield. Link just living with just a sliver of HP as Shadow and Nyrox doing a good job of firing off those shots simultaneously, trying to build a bigger punch and more damage to be dealt. They finally get into the box and take down one. Even PKR by himself, he was one of the original players that was weak and with very little chance. He's getting pushed further and further with his back up against the wall, and Shadow is just relentless, not letting him out of his sight. But there goes the first defensive shot and a massive one from PKR in his survival.
And there's another team coming in. It's Relvis and Raxi.
Uh-oh.
They're looking to third party.
This is one of those situations, though, for PKR, surviving here, trying to last as long. And he's almost kind of hoping that they're coming into third party, distract that duo, that way he can have a safer rotation or an easier time to disengage on out.
Yeah, that third party though does leave them be for the meantime. But Shadox and Nyrox did a good job. Can they continue that good work? What do we have here? Bad Sniper and DKS over at Shattered Slabs in the midst of a fight, and Bad Sniper doing the business. 2 a limbs for his troubles, and now they will be able to loot up this vault.
That's a huge win for them. Getting all the scrap, getting all the loot. The gold is so important for them as well. It's going to allow them to re-roll and get the perfect chance, I should say, at augments. The choice is definitely going to be theirs, though. And this is where you can kind of see that they also have that choice. Do you split the gold, or do you leave it onto one person?
Yeah, but the one thing that I think will definitely be something to keep an eye on, right? The longer they stay in that storm, the more ticks they take, the less room they have to work with when it comes to a heal-off and storm sickness. So they need to get their loot and get as quickly as possible and get out of there. So again, pulling towards this sort of southern area, that will definitely benefit Easy and Vino, that Kinjitsu. For Nappy and Apex, they didn't have to work the games last time round. It's good to see them back for Apex. Nappy sort of had a rough time, things didn't quite work out for him playing with Mr. Savage last season. And now playing with Nappy, who's an incredibly talented player. This duo, if they can get things working, get things clicking, they certainly could be a force within EU.
That's my cast. That's my even though it wasn't the legendary edition like you're seeing here, Mr. Savage and Fadil can kind of bolster their loadout. It's definitely worth fighting for. You get the heals, which you've seen so many teams utilize to the very last moment. He has the ability to trade those shots, and you see him immediately turning around and using those shields that he's doing.
And that's exactly what you'll see teams do when they have those spare heals, right? They just want to be overzealous, right? Be over-ambitious in the way they peak. Right, I think back in the day, you look at Fortnite historically, you see you sort of crouch, you peek up, hit your shot, crouch down. In that situation, Savage is damage if he do damage, and heal right back up.
Swizzy and Shmoky, kind of talking about them. They were first place on the day yesterday. Continuing that over towards today as well. Trying to go ahead. That's what I'm yesterday, last week. Time flies when you're having fun. We didn't even play yesterday. They see they're having a much different approach to this game. Before it was all heal off, it was all outlast everybody else. Now that they realize with the zone changing, that loot, the resources, everything is worth fighting for, at least a little bit more. And there's still 2.5 teams here. I should say 1.5. Curb, Default, one of the first teams that even got pushed over here as Default escaped the fight early on. That might have been a blessing in disguise, because imagine Curb here by himself in this situation.
Gosh darn it.
Time will tell if that solo is going to be able to get out alive. I know I see him on the other side. Swizzy must have some sort of knowledge that he's there as they kind of shoot at the same time. Disintegrate the cover. Shot's going to go through. As Swizzy peeking through 2 different teams. He has his eyes set on 2 different targets, able to really multitask to defend his position here, defend all this loot. But in about a minute, Zone's going to begin to force these players in. And with Swizzy and Shmoky and the clear win condition that they used last week, they might try to disengage to not take any ticks from Storm, so that way they can use all that for the heal off in the end.
Yeah, and that was probably the most impressive thing about them.
Everybody go, everybody gets
a threat and always a force in those heal off situations. They won 3 of those games last time round. Cammy and Seti though on our screens. Last time we saw Cammy was down and Seti was the only one up. This time round, both of them together. When it comes to some of the things going on around the map and some of the loot that we see teams picking up, we have Taco here to update us on what Easy and Venom have been doing.
That's right, Levin. Seemingly being the main point narrative so far here in number 2. You've got Veno and Queasy doing the best job possible, building right on top of one of these caches, making sure that they can protect all of these resources, all of the loot as much as possible, because they know they're trying to work their way.
Can't find a fucking charger? Can't look for a fucking charger?
Gotta make sure that they're prepared.
Everybody that fucking lazy nowadays? No, I'm not playing. Don't trust Nintendo all day then. Because if I find a charger, I'm playing it. When you look for it, you fucking suck. How do you lose a fucking charger?
Put it all on the line. Some, like Queasy and Veno, it's uncontested. very similar story to the hot-spawn bout over towards the
Alright, you're not touching Nintendo no more
it's
today.
really a nice trend to kind of see them, no matter if they're pulling zone, not pulling zone.
I'm touching Nintendo.
They're still
Pull the
able to
charger
get the
then.
surge tags anywhere on the map.
Get up and look for the chargers, Zane.
Point A to point B, and then you see his opponent Zane quickly
ignore me,
damage go to waste. You can see his boxing up around, he's taking down options. Bad Sniper's luck comes to an end as Zane is victorious, taking down at least one. DKS on the other side, two back-to-back shots. He's doing a good job and able to take down Zara.
I already know where it is.
Zara putting an end to what would have been a crazy couple of seconds there for Zangi. A brilliant shot he hit. And unfortunately, Zangi goes down as well. DKS getting his revenge after Zara hit one of the nastiest shots from CCA. It's DKS and Bad Sniper that come out on top.
Seen it in game number 1, and we've seen a very similar play here, right? Before our very eyes, just huge one.
Hello? I didn't still have it.
Just turned around and said, yep.
Hello?
Brilliantly done there from DKS, of course. Well, we know what he does with that controller in hand.
Hello?
Rarely misses those situations. Thomas and Malabuka, of course, we watched them win their off-spawn fight, so they do have a chance to survive and live in this game. And better yet, the lobby has made a you know what that mistake is?
I see, but I don't know what is that mistake?
The lobby has allowed Thomas HD to hold on to a pulse rifle. And there's a good chance those
Dad already found it.
pulse rifles in hand are cash money.
Especially in the turn on that aggression. Diamonds, two like some Chicho, landing some great shots.
Oh, I won that.
The respective skyscrapers built towards me. Oh, this is gonna be a cheesy cure. Pizzas, and now we got the extra cheese.
Is Hen gonna see it coming? That's the question. They are just gonna come from this cone, anticipating them to walk right through. But Hen and Paco are not quite moving yet. They are just taking some.
Six, move. Our dad already found it.
Well, no, they're not going to move. They're not going to walk into their tracker, so they will just have to take shots from afar. But that favors them as well. These guys do big damage. Paco very much blocking the path, and there's another team in the zone that will give them that easy shot. And Malabuka just running right on in.
Zane, our dad already found it.
You can't do that. You can't give him the pulse rifle. He's one of the most accurate players in Fortnite history, earning that title throughout any weapon he puts in his hand. And now you got the ODM causing the 7. You're gonna have to do even more damage, but there goes Malabuka to finish that one off. No chance.
I know he's talking. I can't hear people.
Elimination, as they're already sitting over 800 above the damage threshold. It was just bonus. It was just that much extra.
Savage and the deal. Look at that. Nicely done. They take out Hen. Paco got taken out as well. It's a brilliant find. All these guys.
Damn it! Cheater! Cheater! You're not a good kid! You're a cheater!
A bit of revenge there for him, for old time's sake.
This zone, I feel bad for anybody that is not near this zone right now, because you got a whole lake of water separating everybody with the farthest pool to any sense of that edge of zone. So if you don't have mobility, heck, if you don't even have those 3 charges of the kinetic blade, it's not going to be as easy as it seems. So you got to have something up your sleeve and ready.
Yeah, the 5 teams you just saw on the screen there, those are the only 5 teams in the zone. Everybody else has to start moving there now.
Oh, now you want to party, huh? Like I'm not here.
If you're one of the first teams to make
it up my ass, huh?
the chances may be better.
Huh?
But the problem is just players.
What's that fucking shit there, motherfucker?
I have found the charger.
Across the river.
Yeah, was it hard to find it? Who found it, actually?
Me. I did.
Who's lying to me? I don't know which 3 of you are lying to me.
Zane, Mom's lying. She's saying Zane did, but I did.
Oh, Mom's lying. How do I know you're not lying to me?
Cause it was right. Cause I said it's right there.
Right where it's supposed to be, huh?
All rotating back on over to Kenjutsu Crossing.
Look, you cannot.
You were lying, Mom.
The best team in the whole of Europe a free zone like this.
Look, my teammates literally.
Now, it will mean that
What are you doing?
no uncertainty
Wait, did you die?
from what we'll see from some of the other teams, but
I think you're
there will be
gonna
solutions
die. Now
they
you're
can
gonna
take to it.
die.
See them take shots of some of the players below them.
Good kill. Good
Who
kill.
go lurking
Oh, you won?
in an attempt. Just outside of Kinjitsu, so they will have to make a move there as well. Towards that 7th zone.
Savage and Vidal.
Stop, I'm not Zane, stop messing around.
Just trying to refarm as much wood as possible. They don't want to wait until they're congested with everybody else trying to refarm as Bose is able to take down one. That's Eclipse who gets sent back to the lobby. Dirty Bingu and Bose just trying to loot. You see them crossing over med kits. You see them extra minis, so they're just making sure that they have the right loadout ready for this end.
No, stop.
Over the splashes, making sure to leave nothing left behind for any of these teams looking for loot.
Can you go get that last one, bro?
Patiently waiting to make the right decision. If you're one of the players in the zone, you're patiently waiting for someone to maybe fly through the sky with their ODM gear just so you can take some shots at them. That's easy.
First of all, take it out on me.
Above the damage threshold, this is absolutely nothing. Game,
dude, you didn't win. You cheated.
Disrupt any sense of comfort over on the other side. Eventually, someone's gonna be able to see through. Isn't much, but for Stacey and Podesai in the position that
Dude, stop taking my spots.
outside of zone, trying to build himself an island, runs out of mats and opportunity as he goes down. That's their 5th elimination as a team, 5th overall for Thomas and Malibuca. And that's the interesting thing, 5 eliminations.
Go down. I don't like